Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This video is about getting your ass kicked. A necessary part of every Battleground season, but on the road to Celestial, it's going to happen an awful lot, especially to me. So it's important to go back through, analyze what happened, and try to learn. Let's get into it.
So I hopped into Battlegrounds, and I was in Vibranium 2 just a day after the season started. So I made a big push at the beginning, used that practice that I got on the off-season to really get through, and I was intent on having a video called Getting Cooked in Battlegrounds. But as you can see, I won my first match, and the next match will be my promotion match to Gladiator Circuit, and I thought, alright, don't worry, I'm going to lose the next one, because up until this point, my experience of Vibranium 3 and Vibranium 2 had been a little bit win-lose. They'd been kind of win 2, lose 2, win 1, lose 1, and it got a bit rocky. The progress was slowing just that little bit, but I won for a second time, and despite my sloppy gameplay against Shuri, I got my promotion to the Gladiator Circuit, but I thought, alright, that's not good enough. I'm intent on having this video, so I'm going to go again. And, well, then I win again. And my first fight in the Gladiator Circuit was my first win in the Gladiator Circuit. It was very satisfying, but not what I was looking for, so we go in again. Up against Nevermind. And, yeah, I mean, these guys... I was in Celestial 5 when I entered the circuit, so there are only 100 people in here, and, you know, these are the guys that are going to be occupying, theoretically, the top 200 slots, but again, another win, and up until this point, in my session of trying to get cooked, not only had I won 4 matches in a row, I hadn't lost. So I'm going to do my best to change that, up against Eric Forrester here. Worth mentioning, I'm not actually trying to lose, but I want to try and showcase the class of the people who get into Gladiator Circuit quickly. And obviously, as a side note, the rosters. This guy had an account, or at least a deck, that was a similar size to me. That's a very nice bullseye. And I started, as a general rule, just banning arcade towards the end of my victory track progression, because, as a bit of a warning to those who haven't hit the track yet, arcade in this meta is operating sort of like a tech photon, where the debuffs from the node are actually interacting with his arcade tokens and therefore his auto block. So, like Photon that ramps her pure light charges, you hit him, you gain the poison, it counts as if it came from his Toxic Cloud. So he can auto-block you mid-combo, he can auto-block you mid-special, and he'll just screw you over really, really easily. So drafting Serpent, Onslaught, and Spider-Ham, a thing I don't really like about this meta is, at least for me, who doesn't have the most enormous and diverse roster, I'm drafting basically exactly the same champions every single game. Like, I think there's an ideal set of 7 champions, just with Onslaught, Titania, Pig, Serpent, Maestro, Penny, Nick Fury, and Deathless Thanos, that are just winning me matches. And every single time, I'm not really looking to do anything new, I'm not looking to try stuff or be at all different. I'm just following that same formula every single time. So here, picking up my newly ranked rank 3 Domino, and I haven't got the SIGs from Eternity of Pain or whatever we're on right now. So she will be SIG 50, she's SIG 30 right now when I eventually get off my arse and do the challenges. So now it's time for round 1. I actually don't recall how this goes, so looking at it, I don't know. Domino, okay, that's sensible. My opponent does not have a tech character. But my first opponent, my first obstacle for getting screwed today is actually my internet. As I desperately try to turn off Wi-Fi, as university Wi-Fi every now and then has an aneurysm, and you just need to swap onto 5G. It doesn't seem to work, and I get the Wi-Fi symbol of death that will inevitably result in the AI picking my fight for me, so I'm taking Penny against Photon. I'm not a happy bunny at this point, because now my game seems to want to work fine. It's almost as if it wasn't a problem to do with internet at all. So, Penny is obviously double immune here, and to put it lightly, I'm a bit cheesed off. So here, I go into the fight a bit annoyed, and I think I make a silly error. Yeah, there. That was never going to work. But I was annoyed, and that's what happens. You need to keep a cool head. Because if I kept a cool head, well, we might have had a chance. But no. So, Photon's in her pure light form. As I mentioned, the debuffs from the hazard shift would be ramping her up if I hadn't forgotten that Penny is double immune just then. So that's not a problem right now, but she is Sig 200. So her ramp is considerably faster. Other thing to mention about Photon is she has quite a hefty energy resistance built in. So I just throw another L1 there to try, in a vague hope that maybe I'd be able to throw off my SP2 with more charges. She throws an L1 without quite going into pure light, but here she doesn't seem to want to go for my intercepts, which is really annoying, and I lose all my charges, I just throw it off anyway. Now, for any other champion of that amount of health, that would just be lights out, but not for Photon, because my incinerators are only dealing 6,000 per second, and the fight's nearly over. Her Sync Shield is actually doing an awful lot of work, tanking the damage through the block. If you look at the damage I lost from taking a combo to the face, compared to my health now, I actually haven't lost all that much. If my Penny was rank 3, and I didn't act like an idiot at the start, maybe this could actually be a viable matchup, but remember, you're punching down. And yeah, I timed it. Not the best start, and that was certainly winnable had I kept my head together. But I didn't. And it's going to continue here because I decide to lash out. I overextend myself, you might say, and look to secure round 2 with a little bit too much ferocity, and it leaves me open for round 3, if memory serves. So my opponent here, playing it very well actually, stalling, saving his best defender for round 3, because he doesn't need to win round 2. Something you need to remember is that if you have a semi-decent defender, just place them down. Your opponent might lose, or you might lose, but then at least you're very safe for the round that matters. So I lash out, and I play Serpent on defense, so I'm thinking, alright, at least I can make this last to round 3. But that's not the attitude. I really needed to be thinking, alright, long game, Serpent's a guaranteed win. Serpent's a slam dunk. And that was just not in my head at all. So, yeah, Null's going to clean this up. Null's a great counter just for this meta in general, because you get your debuffs with or without the tactic. But also he's a great counter for Hulkling because of Despair, and then also if you have him with a decently high Sig, eventually you'll start replacing those regenerations with degenerations, which is very handy indeed. Our final hit is absorbed by his Indestructible, but no matter. Taking some hits on the block, and there you can see the degenerations coming in now. He's going to exit my Corruption, which is annoying. We still have 28 armor breaks, and yeah, he's down in about a minute. Nice 50,000 point score, and okay, so I'm playing quite well, and naturally, my opponent does not fare well against Serpent, because nobody fares well against Serpent, because everybody hates Serpent, because Serpent is awful. 35,000 points, that's about average. And here I'm in an interesting position. It's my turn to place. Who are you placing on defense? I'll tell you what, it's not Onslaught. It's not Onslaught, because our opponent's best attacker also happens to be their best defender. And that's Mantis. So if I placed Onslaught, sure, I have a good defender, but I just get rinsed by Mantis's Tranquilize. So I actually can't place any debuffs with either the Pig or Silk, and I just get melted by Hazard Shift. So I have to swap things around here, and it's quite unfortunate really that I'm left with 2 science characters, when actually if I had my way in round 1, I would have used Silk. So I'd have had Penny to put on defense. Now, sorry, I would have had Penny to use against Mantis. So I could have placed Onslaught, and then I might have had a better chance. But here, against Titania, she's got quite a big health pool. We're going to have to pause. Getting a poison on me, alright, no big deal. We wanted to use this, and then we wanted to use her L1. She obliges. We're going to heavy punish straight into an SP2, and we're going to hope that Onslaught can end this match before Mantis can eliminate my Spider Pig and wipe him off the surface of the planet. So here we're going to go for an L1. No, we're not. We're going to take some hits into the block, heavy punish, and then go into an L1 just to make sure my degenerations last. Entering the fight, and yeah, I got cooked. Okay, so a combination of being a little bit unlucky and the internet having a personal grudge against me, but very well played from my opponent. That was well managed, even in a round 2 that was definitely losing. Executed the throw round perfectly. And, alright, let's move it on to the next match now. So, I hop back in again, trying to recover the points that I just lost, up against Hunab Ku here. Again, I can't remember how this fight ended, but what I can tell you is he has quite a nice account going for him. That is a very scary rank 3 Serpent, who I just ban as a rule, because I really just do not have either the will nor the champions to get through that. And also, as a rule, I'm banning 7-star Medusas because I'm terrified of her. Warlock, I famously am quite bad at fighting, so getting him out of there as well, and the rest can stay. He still has some very threatening rank 3 options. Bans my Deathless Thanos, which is pretty good. Here I pick up Penny. That's a fair pickup, I think. And that is a 7-star rank 3 version of Gladiator. I have in the past been tempted to rank him myself. Not sure who he's going to pick up, though. And actually, this is quite an instructional moment, because we see in the bottom left a rank 3 awakened Falcon. And not only is he awakened, he's awakened at an irregular sig level. And he chooses him over Bishop, who is a very powerful both attacker and defender in this meta. What can we deduce from this? This is a very instructional moment. If you see a champion highly ranked or sigged up who is not part of mainstream meta, it's important to be able to deduce these 3 things. The first is, your opponent probably knows something you don't. Right? They know something about that champion that you don't. And that means that number 2, they are able to do matches with that champion that you are not able to see coming. And the third thing is, they are able to extract more from that champion than the average player because they learn to maximize it. Those are 3 really important things. And here, what I didn't know was that actually Falcon's lock-on can deal with Hazard Shift. I could have sworn in the past I'd try that match and it hasn't worked, but evidently, well, as you'll see, it does work. So I've picked up Kushala, I've picked up Onslaught, I've picked up Count Nefaria. Count Nefaria I really haven't been getting on with recently, but you take what you're given, and I haven't got any rerolls. So, who to take? I decide to take Sasquatch because my defense here is looking a bit lackluster. And yeah, I'm aware that he has a 7-star rank 3 pig, but maybe Sasquatch could be a round 2 champion. And by round 2 champion, I mean he's a champion that you're not expecting to win with, but he's someone who traditionally you would place on defense, so he's a bit of a filler. And here I decide to go for the round 1 win, with Onslaught, which is always a good thing. And he places down Mr. Sinister, and that's just a perfect opportunity to whip out my Penny Parker. But the only issue is that it leaves me a little bit vulnerable again for round 3. And this was partly down to the draft, as he obviously throws around. No one's getting through Onslaught or Crossbones. But this is partly not down to me. I didn't get the best draft here, so, you know, these losses, I got cooked. But also, there was a little bit of luck involved, and you kind of have to make peace with the fact that sometimes there will be some luck involved, and sometimes it won't always go your way. There'll be times when it feels like you can't lose, because your opponents are just dying willy-nilly, and you feel like the luckiest man in the world. But that's not always going to be the case, and making peace with that is really important mentally. Otherwise, you go on a tilt spree, and it's just not pretty. So here, just making sure that I can push Sinister over 2 bars of power with my SB2, and yeah, this guy had a lot more health than the Photon from the last match, but you can tell into the Relic, it's just going to be lights out, and that was a beautiful match. I am actually playing quite well when the matches come my way. It's just we're going to see that they really don't, as it looks like it is for the moment for my opponent. Not even able to get 20,000 points against Onslaught. And here I am going to place Sasquatch, I believe. I am going to use him as a round 2 champion. And basically it's just going to be who can pop the opponent's champion first with the pig. And I don't know, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I should have properly thrown round 2. If I'm going to put down Sasquatch, maybe I should just put in a filler attacker. Like, if this is just a filler defender, I should put in a filler attacker as well, instead of whipping out who actually, looking back, was probably my best attacker. So we're going to try and take on the arcade now, and the tactic for this fight is really just not to hit him during his incinerate phase, because I'm not incinerate, during his poison phase, because I know I have the tactic. I'm not going to take any damage, but it's still going to ramp his arcade tokens, and his auto block's just going to go nuts. So yeah, you can see there, I gained a poison and he gained an arcade token, as he normally would. And those power stings just doing enormous work here. Right, I have to get rid of it. I'm out of the poison phase, so now I can safely get rid of it. Another heavy attack, and I think we're going to try bait a heavy into a 2-hit, into an SB1. Hoping just to bait this SB2 now, and he throws it, which is good. And I seem to remember that the end of this fight took a little bit longer, as I just hesitate. He doesn't really want to throw a special. So now he's down to 1 power sting, 2 power stings rather. And I need to punish him there. I don't punish him there, I'm worried about the auto block. The heavy doesn't do it either. Eventually he goes down, but I don't think it's going to be enough. No, it's not enough. No. So that was expected. And we move on to round 3, and we see, rather irritatingly, I've kind of run out of defenders, having used Penny for round 1, and I've run out of, well, OP attackers, having used the pig for round 2. So, just slightly mismanaging my champions here, and yeah, in a flourish I placed down Count Nefaria, walking straight into a class advantage matchup for the rank 3 Falcon, and again, we see what happens when you don't get rid of the offbeat champion in the ban phase. Of course, here I didn't have much of a choice, but we're going to see what Falcon can do. And another instructional moment here, which is as I get parried. Luckily, I didn't do too much, and I can regen some of that back, which is just get rid of the champion that you don't often see, because it probably means that your opponent knows something that you don't. Here I'm just delaying my punishment just by a split second so I can avoid his falter. I'm going to go for a massive SP2 here. And the way I saw this at the time was really just as a race, right? Prowler is just a meat shield, as I just about get my block up. But Prowler's just a meat shield in the same way that Count Nefaria is going to get cooked. It's just a matter of time. And I really just need to beat Falcon, which sounds easy, but it's easier said than done, nailing some nice stand-up intercepts here. 2 in a row, in fact, and I just go for it. We'll see in a second if it's going to be enough, and I'll tell you what, it's not. It's not. Actually, I'll make a note. I'll turn that into a short. How to beat your friends at Battlegrounds. Write that down. Quite an instructional moment there about irregular rank ups. But yeah, again, just goes to show the class of the people who can go through the victory track so quickly, and these are the guys who we're going to need to beat if we want to trek the road to Celestial, and it's going to be one hell of a series. I'm certainly looking forward to making more of these videos, analysing more Battlegrounds matches, hopefully looking for a bit more success in the next episode. But if you have made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.